Hello, welcome to Just the Dis. We talk about Blu-rays here. My name is Brian, and for this episode, we are talking about the Warner Archive offerings on Blu-ray for the month of November, and it is a good crop of stuff for sure. Briefly at the top, as I have been doing in these videos, and I do recommend if you like to hear what Warner Archive is putting out, and they've had a good run lately, check out my Warner Archive monthly spotlights here on the channel. And also, if you like what I'm doing, subscribe, please, if this is something you're enjoying. But anyway, so what I usually do at the top of these videos is talk about upcoming releases, and I don't have a lot of news to report on this round, other than I believe Ivanhoe is coming out in December, as well as Angels with Dirty Faces at the time of this recording. But I'm sure by the time this posts, they will probably have announced more titles for December, and it has been a heck of a good run, like I said. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with my favorite stuff and then just kind of work my way down. It's a lot of good films here. We'll start with The Last of Sheila. This one is from 1970, 3-ish, I believe. And this is a real gem. Just a great murder mystery movie, a movie that Rian Johnson cited as like one of, 5 or 6 films that were big influences on Knives Out, and it is just an absolute beauty. The basic idea is that we open at a Hollywood cocktail party. We see a character named Clinton, played by the great James Coburn, and he is yelling at someone. We find out it's his wife, and she leaves the party and is struck by a car and killed. And then some time has passed, and he is typing up invitations to something, and it is what turns out to be a trip, a boat trip that he's asked a bunch of his friends to come on with him. And the cast includes folks like Richard Benjamin, Diane Cannon, I already mentioned James Coburn, Joan Hackett, James Mason, Ian McShane, Raquel Welch, and they are all on Clinton's yacht, and he's made a game out of it, basically, so that they, when they arrive on the boat, they get a card that has a piece of gossip about them, maybe, we don't know, or is it made up gossip, and that is sort of their identity as part of this game. And then each night, this is sort of off the coast, I want to say, of Italy or something, they stop off, and he has more clues that he'll give them to sort of figure out, what the gossip is tied to. Whose gossip is it, if it's true, and the people whose gossip it is that they don't want. Basically, he wants them to find out each other's secrets, and he wants them to also stop each other from finding out each other's secrets. So it's a weird game that he's set up, and he's I guess a film producer, and he's really sassy with everybody. And you have the other characters are actors or agents or writers or directors, and they all sort of need him in a way to help produce a movie or whatever they're doing, and so they kind of have to go along with his cattiness. And it is just an absolutely fascinating murder mystery, and it just plays out in this wonderful way. And it's one of those where I watch it and I forget who the killer is, and every time it's kind of a surprise, but it's really well done, and I'm so excited it got a Blu-ray release. It has a commentary ported over from the DVD with Richard Benjamin, Diane Cannon, and Raquel Welch, which is very cool. And it's just a great movie. PG rated, which is interesting. It would probably be more PG-13, I think, now. Maybe not quite R, probably, but it's definitely a 70s PG, if you know what that means. But a really great movie, and one that I hope will get a little bit more attention now that it's getting a nice Blu-ray release. So big hats off for that one. Next up, we have Some Came Running from 1958. This is Vincente Minnelli's film, and it is based on the James Jones novel. And it stars Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Shirley MacLaine, Arthur Kennedy, I want to say. Yeah, Arthur Kennedy, Martha Heyer. Yeah. And I love this movie. This is one I first heard of when I think I was reading an article where I think Richard Linklater was recommending movies, and this was one he said he was a huge fan of, and I had never heard of it. And I watched it, and I loved it. It was definitely when I was going through sort of a Rat Pack movie phase, and somehow I'd never even heard of this one. And it's one of Dean Martin's best performances. I'd put it right up there with Rio Bravo, in terms of his acting in it. Frank Sinatra is great. He plays a character who's he's gotten out of the army, and as a joke, some of his army buddies, they got really drunk, and apparently he told them where he was from. He's from Parkman, Indiana, I think, and they put him on a bus, basically passed out to Parkman. So he shows up in Parkman, and he's like, "Oh man, they got me." And he's also got a woman with him, played by Shirley MacLaine, and her name's Ginny, and she seems to think that Frank was taking her to meet his family or something. Like, he doesn't remember any of it. So as they get off the bus, he apologizes to her. He offers to pay for a bus back to Chicago, but she sticks around in town. And Frank's character, David, he sort of settles in, and it's just like, oh boy, I'm gonna hang out in my hometown. And come to find out that his brother, played by Arthur Kennedy, is like a bigwig in the town, and it's a very small town, and the Sinatra character starts doing things that are, making the Arthur Kennedy character look bad, and so this whole drama plays out, and we start to find out why Sinatra's character is not happy with his brother, his older brother, and that he was a writer. He used to be a writer, and he seems to have given that up, and it's just one of those things where he is now back in town and kind of trying to figure out what he's doing, and he meets a school teacher that he likes, and it goes on and on. But he meets Dean Martin's character, who is a gambler named Bama Dillard, and he's just a great Dean Martin character, just this guy who always wears a hat, doesn't want to take his hat off because he thinks it's bad luck, and Sinatra's character is kind of a gambler type, so they just really hit it off. And of course, Frank and Dean are just chummy guys, and so they really play well off each other, and I just love the whole relationship they have all the way through. And Dean Martin gets the last shot of the movie, and it's a great little moment when you get there. But yeah, really great movie. It comes with a featurette, The Story of Some Came Running, which is a bunch of USC and UCLA film professors talking about Sinatra, talking about Minnelli, and how he hadn't really done a movie like this to this point, and maybe they're saying he never did one after. I don't know if that's true, but that he's obviously known for musicals, and this is not that. And I think it's great. It's one of my favorite Vincente Minnelli films, and I just love it. So really great stuff. Beautiful widescreen, 235 transfer. Looks very good. Next up, we have Thin Man Goes Home, and this one from 1944, I believe. This is the 5th in the Thin Man series. They only have one more to go. And they will have the entire series on Blu-ray, which I hope does happen, and I would be very excited to happen. I forgot how much I like this one. This is a really charming entry in the series. Basically, Nick and Nora go back to Nick's hometown. They're visiting Nick's parents. Nick's dad is a doctor. Apparently, there's still some bad, not bad blood, but sort of, his dad doesn't really take seriously Nick's career move to work as a cop for a while, and now as a detective. He wanted him to be a doctor, and so he looks down on anything that's not that. And Nora is like, kind of offended at his dad's, flippancy about, Nick's, career, and that she really does believe that he's very good at what he does, and we've seen him in action, and he is very good. And so she is determined to show Nick's dad, look, he's really good at this, whether you're proud of him or not, because he wasn't a doctor. And so she starts to stir things up. This is actually fun to watch in the wake of Some Came Running, because it's another small town movie, another, word gets around fast movie. So it's like, Nick comes to town and people know about it, and they immediately assume he's on a case, although he's not. And Nora, stokes the fire with the local paper by saying he's a detective, he's in town. I don't ask him about what he does. Draw your own conclusions. And lo and behold, there is some bad stuff happening in their town, and the folks that are doing the bad stuff get nervous and start to reveal themselves a little bit and start to make some mistakes. And there is a murder. And so then Nick is on the case, and So it's a really neat movie in that it's sort of pulling him out of the, urban setting that he's used to being in and just more of a small town mystery. But, just classic Nick and Nora Charles stuff, Nick's not drinking in this movie, which I find intriguing. He's drinking cider through the whole movie. And Asta has some nice little moments. And they've left their kid apparently in kindergarten with the nanny or something. So there's no kid in this one. So if the kid bothers you, which I think the kid does bother some people in some of the entries, it doesn't really bother me. But so if that bothers you, then this one will be up your alley because it's just the two of them again. No kids. But I totally dug this. It comes with a comedy short, classic Squirrel cartoon, and a really fun entry in that series. Next up, we have Party Girl. This is from 1958. This is a Nicholas Ray film. I like this one a lot. Beautiful, full color. Actually, the color really pops on this Blu-ray, to be honest. And it's a gangster movie set in 1930 Chicago. And it follows Sid Charisse, who is a, sort of a dancer, nightclub act kind of girl. And she starts to fall for this mob lawyer, played by Robert Taylor, who's got a bad leg. And the drama deepens and heightens the violence with filmmaking artistry that has given Party Girl cult status. A screen painted in sinister ebony and blood red, an urban landscape of shattered glass and shattered bodies, and a scene where Jean Harlow, besotted mobster, learns his idol has married, shreds her photo with a rat-a-tat-tat of lead. But yeah, no, it's a fun movie that's, very much a gangster film. And, the mob person that Robert Taylor's defending for the most part is played by the great Lee J. Cobb. And he's pretty bad in this movie. And John Ireland plays like one of his goons, I believe. And I just really enjoy this one, and I haven't watched it since the initial... This is one of the early Warner Archive DVD releases, the MOD DVD days of early on. I want to say the first 2 years, maybe 2009, 2010 or so. And so this is lovely to get an upgrade of this. And again, like I said, it looks beautiful. Another widescreen movie, 235 wide, like some came running. And just a gem for Nicholas Ray fans. It's got that Nick Ray edge to it. I don't know. It's good stuff, and it's one of my favorite Sid Charisse performances. Like, she's just like, taking no guff from the beginning. She's given attitude, and I just really like the way she comes off. So Party Girl is definitely worthwhile. Next up, we have Fury. This one is from 1936. I believe Fritz Lang's first American film. I may have misheard that, so don't quote me on that part. But definitely an early, if not first, American film for Fritz Lang, who fled Germany because the Nazis were after him to, I guess, do film work for them or something. I may be misremembering that as well. But what this has is a really great commentary from Peter Bogdanovich, wherein he has intercut some audio from some interviews with Fritz Lang that he recorded himself in like 1965. And so every so often he'll cut in the audio, and actually sounds really pretty good for audio tape from 1965. But so then Bogdanovich will go through and talk about the movie and talk about Lang's style and talk about how MGM wasn't really making message movies like this, because this movie is basically about it's about mob mentality. It's about capital punishment, sort of, and it's about an innocent man played by Spencer Tracy who gets railroaded into a jail cell over a kidnapping that he seems to be involved with, but it seems like it's just this weird, horrible nightmare circumstance where he has one of the $5 bills that the kidnappers got the money, and he may have just gotten it from a gas station or somewhere. But the cops are immediately like, we're going to hold you. And then Walter Brennan plays like the deputy or something, and he starts sort of shooting his mouth off a little bit about, at the local bar about how we have this guy who he says might know something about the kidnappings. And then the people immediately assume that to mean he is one of the kidnappers. And they start to get all riled up, and they've got some troublemakers in their midst. And this mob forms, and they go after Spencer Tracy's character in jail. They try and burn the jail down. It's this whole thing. And he's just trying to get back to his gal, Sylvia Sidney. And so it starts to turn into something else a little bit after that. But it's an interesting examination of that sort of mob mentality and how rumor can, stir things up and spread. And yeah, it's just very intriguing, especially looking at it through the lens of social media and the internet now, does its own version of these kind of things. And so it's a fascinating watch. And again, not something that is like too many films that MGM was making at the time, apparently. So a real nice package, good looking transfer. And again, that commentary with excerpts from Fritz Lang are pretty cool. He has a lot of interesting things to say on a broader spectrum about filmmaking in general and his process. And so I really enjoyed that commentary. But this is a good, like I said, message movie kind of thing. So that's Fury. Next up we have National Velvet. This is from 1944. Stars a very young Liz Taylor, Mickey Rooney. It has Angela Lansbury. And, it's a horse movie. As long as young hearts endure, so will National Velvet and movies like it. In her star-making role, Elizabeth Taylor plays Velvet Brown, a wide-eyed adolescent who, assisted by her jockey pal, Mickey Rooney, trains Pie, a horse she won in a raffle for the Grand National Steeplechase. Of course, no girl can ride in the National, can she? Yet Velvet, posing as a boy, assuredly does. Superbly directed by Clarence Brown, this exciting winner of 2 Academy Awards, one to Anne Revere for her performance as Velvet's mother, co-stars a young Angela Lansbury and veteran Donald Crisp. The film has an off-screen postscript as winning as the on-screen finale. The studio gave Pie to Taylor after filming wrapped. So that's a very sweet story that she got the horse after the movie was over. So it's kind of a sports movie, kind of a coming-of-age movie. There's a lot of stuff that happens. It's a long movie. It's over, I want to say it's around just over 2 hours. So you have a lot of setup before you even get to the sporty stuff. But it is well directed. It's got a really neat opening shot that's literally just, I think it's Mickey Rooney just walking along this dirt road in England in the early, I want to say 1920s. I think that's when they said it was from. So it's this really long tracking shot of him walking. And then he gets up to this town and he sits down and he has a drink or something and takes his hat off. And I think you can see that it's been Mickey Rooney the whole time walking, and it's a really long shot. So and who knows how many takes he had to do. So it's kind of a neat thing just to do that, the credits all in one take, one shot, and it sort of establishes a stylistic, approach that he's doing. And I really like when a director establishes their stylistic approach early on. And so this is a good, well-conceived, well-directed film, emotional, and very memorable. I know this is a favorite for a lot of people, and even spawned a sequel/remake with Tatum O'Neal in 1978, International Velvet, which I think came out on a Warner Archive DVD at some point. And I don't think I've seen that, although my wife was saying she definitely saw it as a kid. So I got to catch up with that one. But this is an enjoyable film. And then I've got a couple, they aren't both pre-codes, I don't think. No, in fact, this is the pre-code of the bunch. This is Ladies They Talk About with Barbara Stanwyck. It is from 1933. It was part of one of the Forbidden Hollywood sets, I believe. And kind of a women's prison movie. In most prison films, the convicted man is rehabilitated by the love of a woman. In Ladies They Talk About, Barbara Stanwyck plays a woman who becomes rehabilitated by the love of a man who sent her to prison. Stanwyck's Nan Taylor, a bank robber who gets sent to prison for her role in a bank heist. David Slade, Preston S. Foster, is a reformer who has fallen in love with her when her 2 partners are killed in a jailbreak attempt in which she, too, is involved. Nan thinks David is the one responsible for tipping off the authorities, but she soon learns to trust in his love for her, eventually reciprocating and leaving her unsavory past behind. Co-directed by William Kiley, who went on to direct The Man Who Came to Dinner, and based on the play by Dorothy McKay and Carlton Miles, Ladies They Talk About is not only worth talking about, it's worth seeing over and over again. And so yeah, if you're into pre-code stuff, this looks great. Great transfer. I love that one of the things we're seeing is a lot of pre-code stuff coming from Warner Archive, coming from Kino Lorber. I just like that there's getting to be some Blu-ray love for pre-code this year. I've seen a lot of it. Between this and Kino, they've just been dumping them onto Blu-ray, and that's great. And they look really nice. So this one has a vintage cartoon and a trailer. But if you're a Stanwyck fan, her early roles, I think, are very interesting and definitely give shades of what's to come. And she's very good in this. And last but not least, we have a musical, a Doris Day musical, Lullaby of Broadway. This stars her and Gene Nelson. And this one, the steps of the studio set towered before her like a pyramid. All Doris Day had to do was dance up and down those steps, wearing a flowing gold lame dress. "You've got to be out of your minds," Day exclaimed in a voice heard across the soundstage. "I can't even walk up and down those stairs." She danced divinely and sang in this musical delight about a singer newly arrived in New York and destined for great white wave fame in the capable company of co-stars Gene Nelson, S.Z. Zakal, Billy DeWolf, Gladys George, and Florence Bates. Savor the Oscar-winning title tune, Cole Porter's Just One of Those Things, Somebody Loves Me, and 5 more swell songs. Come along and listen and watch this Lullaby of Broadway. No special features on this one, but all of these, Technicolor musicals, and this is a Technicolor musical, have looked wonderful. This one is 137-1, even though it's from 1951, so it feels like it could have been of the period where it could be widescreen. But regardless, the color is beautiful, I'm sure, and I haven't been let down by, almost any Warner Archive transfer, to be honest. I've talked about them on the channel, but I don't think I've emphasized how much I appreciate the care that they take through Warner Brothers motion picture imaging and all that they do to restore and get these masters ready for Blu-ray. They don't mess around. They really take it seriously. And they will not put something out that isn't up to their high standards. And so all of these Blu-rays that I've ever seen have looked good. I've almost never come across a Warner Archive Blu-ray that hasn't lived up to that standard. So when I hear something is announced from them, I'm excited because I know that it's going to look good. And so anyway, all these look good. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I wasn't too tired looking in this. I know some folks have commented I look like I'm tired. It's been an exhausting month. I apologize, but I hope you can enjoy the video nonetheless. Let me know if you're interested in picking up any of these Blu-rays in the comments below. And like and subscribe if you could, please. That would be hugely appreciated. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.